on the left at Chicago.
Welcome to Chicago. Welcome to Chicago. Welcome to Chicago.
This is Chicago. Doors open on the left at Chicago.
Welcome to Chicago. Coming from
Chicago.
the it's on the loop again.
Open on the left.
Coming from the 606 Media Studios, this is the TCSF podcast with Big Z in the house with me. It is JC Howard. What's up, brother? How are you?
How's it going, man? Good to see you again.
Good to see you, man. It's a two-man show today. Stevie B's got like a stomach bug, and then no, Ivan's not on the show. He's doing his own show. He's doing a bear show. Serge is got the flu, so we're down two men. It sounds like the Bulls, we're just going down like flies.
I was gonna say I had the flu. If you remember the episode, we did the exotic chips that
yeah,
and then literally that night I had the flu.
Oh my god.
And like I said, those chips that I had coming back up was like even to this day, like if I smell like a barbecue chip, I'm just like no. Like get it away from me.
So you're done with barbecue chips forever then?
Not forever, but I feel like it'll probably be a year before like I can smell that barbecue like chip smell.
Okay, yeah, because it is summertime comes around and barbecue ribs and smoked stuff. That's a little different.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, like I don't know about the barbecue ribs because that was the particular chip that I ate.
Yeah,
but like brisket, I'm like we're gonna have to. Me and my stomach are gonna have to work something out about brisket.
Look at here, man. We love this. Cooperate.
Like just nice and easy.
There you go.
Shh, go with it.
Oh man, episode 180 is brought to you by 606 Media, True Chicago Sports Fans, and Grit Clothing Company. Go over there and search for TCSF or True Chicago, and the shirt will pop up when you go out to checkout. If you get more stuff, great. If you don't, just buy our shirt. Hit TrueFan15 for your promo code for 15% off your entire order. That is TrueFan15. Get your official shirts now. We're on YouTube, we're on Spotify, you're on any social platform. Just find us, subscribe, get the notifications, give us 5 stars on your listening app of choice, and and follow us. And definitely be a part of the show by being vocal. We love it when you guys are giving us our live comments. We go back and forth. It's just we love the debate.
We love questions. We love anything. You want to talk draft? You want to talk whatever you guys want to talk about? Throw a topic out there, and we'll try and knock it out of the park if we can.
That's right. All right, in this live episode, the Bears fill out their coaching staff and pull an audible on their new home, the potential new home of the Chicago Bears. The Bulls are in the perpetual Groundhog Day. The Cubs are still working on Belli, the Belli watch. We got to make a countdown or something for Belli. The White Sox finally make some trades. All that and stirring a pot. But let's get into it. This is The Loop, our Chicago Sports Roundup, where we keep you in the loop.
This is Chicago. Doors open on the left at Chicago.
Welcome to Chicago.
Yeah. All right. Now, you know what? I know there's a loop song us on our intro song, but I really want to hear some Bears intro, and that's got to be the 3 and out, and that's going to be for the Bears, because this is going to be a quick Bears segment, right?
Dun, 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 dun.
All right, in the shocking report, the Crane's Chicago Business reported that the main stadium focus is now centered on constructing a stadium on the south lot of Soldier Field, not the $197.2 million property they just purchased in Arlington Heights. They already put a lot of work into that property. They signed the agreement to purchase the land in September of 21. They purchased land for $197.2 million, like I said, in February of 23. And then over the summer spent millions on demolition to tear down the structures and the racetrack at Arlington Park. How do we feel about this? I mean, all we're doing is moving down, several hundred yards from Soldier Field in that south lot, and possibly some of the old McCormick place that they might tear down and give to the Bears. But how do you feel about this, JC?
Well, let's start with the fact of, cities and villages in Illinois are greedy.
Oh yeah, corrupt.
Well, I don't want to say corrupt, but, unfortunately you have 3 school districts that are, evaluating that the property is worth X amount. You have the Bears saying, no, we just tore down all the structures on the property. So now it's worth, just the land itself. There's no structures anymore. So now our tax credit should be at this amount. So, there's just going to be a back and forth until it basically comes down to the fact of, no one's going to come to an agreement. And, the best place is going to be on the lakefront, which even the lakefront has its issues because years ago there was a law or a bill put into the Chicago
lakefront,
whatever you want to call it, lakefront bill, where you can't build private entities on the lakefront.
Right, it's supposed to be for the public.
It has to be public space, it has to be whatever. So if we go back and look at, we were having issues with the Lucas Museum where that would have brought millions and millions of dollars in tourists and whatever. Now we're sitting here with vacant land that is doing nothing. So I understand to a point that you want the lakefront to be family friendly, you want it to be an attraction, you want it to be whatever, but at the same time, like Millennial Park, I mean, there's so many parks on the lakefront itself that it's like, no, this property was already Soldier Field, it's already used as a field. All we're doing is tearing down one structure, moving it onto another plot of land that was a parking lot essentially,
right? And
we're going to construct a new building, and then the old building will be torn down, obviously. Now, whether or not it becomes a, four-story parking garage or however they're going to do it, because I doubt they're going to want to put a parking lot back in. It's going to become an issue where, I have a feeling there's going to be lawsuits and pickets and, all kinds of people trying to cause issues for this new stadium on the lakefront too. And I'm sure the White Sox are going to go through the exact same issue.
Yeah, I think this is more of a posturing thing because you already got the land, you've got all the acres out in Arlington Park, you can have the infrastructure. It's just, again, the township or the city being greedy, like, oh no, we want X amount for you to be here and do this, and we're not going to give you that much. We're not going to give you public money, which is understandable. But to move it several hundred yards south and build a structure on that parking lot and then possibly tear down the old structure of the McCormick place, it still doesn't solve the problem. It's super difficult to get in and to get out of that area. It's super congested. It's literally a route, right? Lakeshore Drive is a route.
Now the only problem is that the current CEO for the Bears, is it Ken Williams or
no, that's Kevin Warren.
Kevin Warren.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know why I always want to say Williams, but Kevin Warren. He's done this before with the Minnesota Vikings, and he's built stadiums. He prefers the downtown setting,
right?
Of when you build a stadium. Not only that, with Soldier Field, anytime they do a Monday Night Football game or they do whatever, they do that helicopter shot where they zoom out on the beautiful lakefront and the city and the backdrop of Soldier Field on the lake and the city backdrop. Okay, now you're going to move to Arlington Heights and you're going to zoom out on what?
Cornfields,
Just
man.
the stadium? like there's no attractiveness to Arlington Heights.
Yeah.
I also have a family friend who grew up with the McCaskies, and he basically said Arlington Heights will become nothing more than a housing project where they'll just make money off of it and they'll just build houses and townhouses and whatever.
I mean, either way they'd make money, of course. That's not going to be an issue with real estate being what it is at the moment. But
But again, if they cannot come to right now, they're like $100 million in difference between what all the, because these schools, they want to be funded,
right?
And all these schools are saying like, hey, you're worth I forget the number. It was like 130 or 160 million dollars, and the Bears are like, no, we're worth 30 million because we tore down all the structures. So they're like $100 million difference, between what the Bears are saying the tax evaluation should be and what the school districts say they should be. Now granted, once they put a stadium up, I'm sure the tax evaluation will be 130 million, but that's not what it should be for vacant land, even though that vacant land is, I forget how many acres, but like I said, the Bears have two very good options right now. And basically it's going to come down to who's going to play ball. Is the governor, or is the mayor Johnson, of Chicago going to play ball and basically tell whoever these people are that, went against the Lucas Museum, hey, tough, we're going to do it anyway. And, this will be great for the city because now we can host Super Bowls and NCAAs, and we can host way more concerts because it's indoor. And now we can host concerts in the winter and all these other events. I mean, to me, like, it would be a no-brainer for the city of Chicago, because not only do you have the only weird thing to me is because Soldier Field was owned by the Park District.
Correct.
I don't know how that's going to work.
Yeah, because
I think the Bears want to be the owners.
Right. So you're not going to get that revenue influx that you would if you owned like the property, the hotel, the sports book. If you owned everything, then you're raking in every single cent, rather than what you're going to have to deal with in paying people and subsidizing what you did to build a stadium and paying people back. It's not going to be as lucrative as far as financially to do that. That's why it doesn't make sense. Like everybody's, with the appeal of having the Bears. You know what? How many Super Bowls y'all got? One.
Yeah. Well, the one interesting thing, like I was talking to my guys, we were talking about this, and I basically said, like, build a stadium facing east-west, because if it's a true dome and it's not a retractable roof or anything like that, I would build a stadium east-west with the east-facing wall glass, so that you could actually, while you're sitting in the stadium, you can look out the east wall and see the lake.
Yeah.
Like that's one, like I said, that's most of the one attractive things of, that particular setting is you want to see the lake. Otherwise, you'll have a north-south facing building, and then maybe you're building, like if you have a glass wall, you're looking at the McCormick Center, or you're looking at the Field Museum and a parking lot, because now the north side would potentially become the parking lot, and then you have the Field Museum and a decent view of, but again, depending on the parking lot, because you facing that Field Museum, you do have a view of somewhat of the high rises of through Millennium Park facing that north side.
Right.
So, but again, it's all politics.
It really is. It really is. Is how many hands can you grease? Whose pockets are going to get lined? Because at the end of the day, Kevin Warren was brought in after the fact that they bought the Arlington Heights property. The issue with the Bears and the city was with the former mayor. It wasn't with Mayor Johnson. So you had Lightfoot, battling with the Bears and then retracting towards the end of her term as she was on her way out. So now you have... At which point the Bears were like, no, we're not doing business with you.
No, not at all. We're moving on. Correct. And like I said, that is probably 30% of the reason why Lightfoot got voted out in Chicago. And now, like I said, now we got Johnson. He's more willing to play ball with the Bears. Mm-hmm. But again, I think we're going to have issues with this whole bill about building, non-public structures on the lakefront. So, like I said, it's going to be interesting. Yeah, definitely will be interesting. The Bears rounded up their coaching staff. So it looks like it's complete at this point, right?
They hired Chad Morton as a running backs coach, and they created a passing game coordinator spot for Thomas Brown. I think he was with, if I remember correctly, that might have been with the Carolina Panthers. So, again, these are small.
I remember somebody coming from Carolina.
Yes, these are small coaches, and we don't know what significance it will mean to the coaching staff and what influence they'll have. I'm assuming this was for the spot that they were trying to make for Kingsbury when they interviewed him, because this is what he did. He was a consultant on the passing game in his last stop, so he wasn't really an offensive coordinator. So now he retracted from the Raiders and is going to the Commanders, and now the Commanders are all in frenzy because they think they're going to get Caleb now.
Well, I read something today that the Commanders are going to offer up the Godfather package, the package that you can't refuse. So, and as soon as I saw that, like, I screenshotted it, sent it to my buddies in group chat, and was like, take that offer. Because again, like, okay, so we move back one spot, we get Drake May.
Yeah.
Like, we still get a quarterback.
Correct.
Maybe it's not Caleb Williams, which, again, you never know if a quarterback's going to pan out.
It's probably one of the biggest risk rewards, right? It's like literally you're all in, and you can either cash in or you're going to bust out. And like you said, like, these quarterbacks, you don't know who's going to pan out. And what if Drake May is the next Tom Brady, and he's not a mobile person, but he can throw the ball.
Yeah, I mean, you could go down the list. Baker Mayfield. And like I said, you could go down the list of like all these guys that got drafted super high and they don't pan out.
Yeah.
And, not to say that Caleb may or may not be that, but, this whole, like, I think the numbers are, even with being drafted 1 or 2, like, it's still a 55% chance that they're not going to be what you expect them to be.
Right.
So it's like, okay, if I'm going to take a 55% chance, like, I'd rather do it with a lot more picks in my pocket and take Drake May and walk away with a first and a second. And
yeah, because they're going to suck again.
I don't know what else the Commanders are going to offer. Maybe they offer a Terry McLaurin or a Jahan Dotson or whoever it may be. What's his name? Payne, the defensive tackle who we were wanting to sign in the offseason, but they had signed him before he was able to become a free agent. So it's like, okay, maybe they throw him at us because he was a guy we wanted.
Right.
It's just a year later now than, So it's one of those where, like I said, to move down one spot, like I said, if I can get the Godfather package, I'd be kind of intrigued.
You kind of do it because now you're going to plug in a lot more holes with more draft pick, more draft capital. You still have money. You can go after guys in the free agency window, which is coming up, very soon. I think it's March something. You're looking at that, right? So you do get the Godfather package and you trade down. You're still going to get a top tier quarterback. You can still get, with the 9th pick, or even if you trade down to the 10 and still get more draft capital to replenish the 2nd round pick that we traded away. There's so many options here, and I don't even know what to think of Ryan Poles right now because he's got like so many different like what ifs, and so, and it's like,
and that's the thing is, like, he's got the whole world and the whole draft in his hands, and like there's so many scenarios. Like, I've done a couple mock drafts where it's like, all right, I draft Caleb at 1 and then see what happens. I've done a couple mock drafts where I trade back to 3, take Marvin Harrison Jr. Then, I take from 9 and I draft all the way back into the 20s. And like, just like from 9, it's like, oh, you want the 9th pick? Sure. I'll move back to 13. And then at 13, it's like, oh, you want to move up to 13? Okay. I'll move back to 20. Okay. You want 20? I'll move back to 23. And then I still end up with an edge rusher at 23. And then it's like, okay, I have a first from this team, a first from this team, and a first from that team to like move back, like, all these spots. So it's one of those where it's like, okay, so I walk away with next year I have 3 first rounds. And again, not to say that would actually happen in a draft. you hardly see that many where like teams want to move up or move down, that many times. But again, it's just one of those, like, to me, even if I moved the 9 pick, because really, like, you're looking at edge rush, which edge rush this year is kind of meh. There's really not that one guy who's like Will Anderson last year. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Where it was like he was the consensus best defensive player on the board that, should be taken within the top 3 picks. Like this year, like you have 3 edge rushers, none of them are like even considered like a top 10.
Okay.
There's a lot of offensive tackles, there's a lot of wide receivers, and in quarterbacks. But really that edge rusher is like somewhere, the first one is really about like 10 to 12 range for, because you still have a couple corners in there as well that are worth taking in, the top 10, 12.
So you were saying with the second pick, they should go after MJF or MHJ.
To me, if we could do something like the Arizona Cardinals last year, which I highly doubt it'll be possible, where we can take our quarterback at 1 or 2 and then move back up and get MHJ. But I don't see any way MHJ makes it past the Cardinals.
Right.
Because the Cardinals need if they're keeping Kyler Murray, they need a number 1 wide receiver. I read something that Poles was still looking at tackle potential for like the number 9 pick, because you do have Joe Alt and Olu Fashanu, and then there's one more offensive tackle that are in that top 10 range. But it's still one of those where it's like, like I said, he's got any route, any avenue he wants to go. Like he has all the cards in his hands to make that happen.
Yeah, definitely.
So as we say, in polls we trust.
This is literally going to decide the future of the Chicago Bears for the next 10 years and how it's going to look forward.
And like I said, as we approach free agency, like that'll give so much more clarity to the draft as well. I mean, if we walk away with a T. Higgins or, a Michael Pittman or any of these wide receivers that are hitting free agency, if we walk away with a center in free agency,
that would be huge.
The center from Seattle is available. I forget his name. And then there's a center out of Miami who is also available. The center out of Miami has a torn ACL, so he's coming off injury, but ACLs really, they're not that big of a hindrance anymore like they were 10 years ago. So like I said, free agency to me kind of tells us where we're going to go with the draft. But all the news out of Senior Bowl is that a lot of execs think that the Bears remain at 1.
Yeah, and take Caleb
or Drake May.
We'll find out. Stay tuned, everybody. It's going to be very interesting. There's so many scenarios, and like you said, that free agency is going to dictate.
Like I said, you look back at the year we took Trubisky, and it's like Deshaun. Like everybody wanted Deshaun Watson. Everybody wanted we could have had Mr. Perpetual Super Bowl.
But yeah, Patrick Mahomes.
But like I said, we end up with Trubisky because he owned a Toyota Camry and seemed very real.
Wow. Yeah. So I mean that kind of scares me because is Drake May is from North Carolina, correct?
Correct.
So that's kind of scary to repeat what Ryan Pace
but
did.
Drake May's been doing it for 2 or 3 years now. It's not like Trubisky was a 1-year wonder and came in, what was it, his junior year, finished the season because the quarterback didn't play the bowl game, so he finished his junior year, and then his senior year was like he had a fantastic season and then declared. So and that's the big thing. Like I've been saying like get me a quarterback that's been the starter for at least 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Do not get me these 1 year wonders that, show up for 1 year, ball out, and then it's like they don't understand offenses or defenses. They can't read a playbook. They can't lead a huddle.
Yeah.
I don't want to deal with that.
Yeah.
Like I said, both guys, Williams and May, have been the starters for like 3 years, so we should be good there.
Yeah, well, let's transition to the madhouse on Madison since we're talking about fizzling out. The Chicago Bulls, Zach Lavine, his trying season has reached a conclusion, a crescendo. This past Saturday afternoon when the Chicago Bulls and Zach Lavine announced that the two-time All-Star will undergo season-ending foot surgery. No idea what specifically with the foot. They just said foot surgery. Lavine, who missed 17 games with an injury earlier this season before returning to play and then re-aggravating it with a sprained ankle, finishes his 2024 season with 19 points, 19.5 points, 3.9 assists, shooting below what he posted in the last 3 years. He played 25 out of the 49 games. He is the man in the mirror. And the Bulls and Lavine and his agency, in consultation with the Bulls medical staff and training staffs, opted for surgery after seeking additional medical opinions. Surgery will happen this week, and he'll be sidelined for 4 to 6 months. This is an opportune time for Zach Lavine to be like, yeah, I'm not going to rest it. I'm going to have surgery. This was mostly posted by Zach Lavine and his camp. This was what the Bulls posted out was that Zach Lavine has chosen to have surgery. Not that he's going to have surgery. That was the wording.
Kind of sounds a lot like the Scottie Pippen scenario where, I'm gonna
enjoy my
last minute.
I'm gonna enjoy my summer, and I'm gonna have surgery when the season starts and screw the team over. I mean, he was on the trade block, and it was hot and heavy with Detroit, with us getting one of the younger players, a couple expiring contracts, and a pick. And I just really think he was like, nah, screw that. I don't want to go to Detroit and play for that team. And so he joins, Ball, who actually was on the last broadcast, and they literally served him up softball questions. They did not press him, and that was so frustrating because Adam Amin is really, really good at what he does, and so is Stacey King, but they just did not press any issue. Like, when are you coming back? What is the knee feel like? There was no pressing. And Ball was at the UC today, that not the Bertelsmann, the Advocate Center, just taking.
Yeah, I was gonna say
shots.
I saw a news report that he was shooting balls today.
Yeah, so he was just literally on the block, just standing still and just shooting. I need that boy pushing that knee. Either it's gonna go or it's not. You're gonna be Brandon Roy or
Well, to me, like I don't think Lonzo is gonna be back this year. So
no, there's no reason to.
I don't need you to push it, because if you push it and re-injure it, then I'm just gonna be even more ticked off. So listen, I'm fine with slow playing Lonzo.
2.5 years. 2.5 years.
Yeah. But how many more years does he have on contract?
I think about 2.5.
So,
yeah.
Unfortunately, and not only that, the Bulls keep getting money back because he's been injured and hasn't been able to play. So, I'm sure the Bears are looking for that roster cap, relief.
That exception, right? So essentially, like, there's $60 million on the bench of not playing. Yeah, $60 million just sitting there on the bench to get paid and not play. It's so just frustrating with this Bulls, and that's why I call this episode Groundhog Day, because we're right back where we started. Ball's hurt, Lavine's hurt, DeMar is getting older.
Caruso's hurt.
Caruso's always hurt. Yeah, it looked like he hurt his groin last.
Wait 5 minutes.
Yeah, wait 5 minutes. He's like, he's like a bag of popcorn. 2 minutes, boom, ding, he's hurt again. And I love Caruso. I love his heart. I love his passion for playing basketball in the Chicago Bulls. But man, is it like cringeworthy to be like, oh my God, he went for a block and then, he twisted his ankle. Oh my God, he saved the ball out of bounds and tweaked his groin. It's scary, and there's zero market for Caruso because they are asking for a king's ransom for Caruso because he's a coach on the floor, and he's a really good guy, and he drives the locker room.
Well, he's one of the better defenders in the entire
100%.
But I will say this: I did read something also that Kobe White is untouchable. So that's at least a good thing for the Bulls to be and recognize, like, hey, you know what? He's been our best player so far this season.
Yeah.
I know he's having a little slump now. Hasn't been playing as great. He's been burning the candle at both ends.
Yeah.
So he's dropped off a little bit, but you know what? To me, I don't care. Like, dude, keep giving him the minutes, keep letting him, expand his game, let him keep finding a rhythm where, like I said, we keep these young guys on the bench like Pat Will and some of these guys, and it's like they don't get the playing time. Mm-hmm. Then when Zach was hurt, they were finally getting the playing time and they were balling out. So it's like, to me, like, keep giving these younger guys the playing time. And that only helps us in the long run when, Lonzo does come back. We assume Lavine will be back next year. I don't know. Will a team trade for him with an injury where he won't be able to play for a year?
It's possible, but I doubt it because if you're gonna give up, assets,
like I said, give up the assets when
he's not gonna play, right?
Right.
So, so we're looking at the roster. We're looking at the young roster. Dalen Terry, who's been sent up and down between the Windy City Bulls and the Chicago Bulls, not getting a consistency. Javon Carter, who we brought over from Milwaukee, hasn't been in the rotation on a consistent basis. When he's in there, he plays very well. Is he going to play 25, 30 minutes? No, he's a bench guy. Vucevic, he's got 2 years left on his contract after this year. Is he going to be traded? I mean, we know what he is. He doesn't play great defense, but if you feed him, like you old school basketball, feed him in the post, he can get you a double-double on a nightly basis. It was him and what did we play the other day? Who did we play? Sabonis from Sacramento. He leads the league right now in double-doubles. And the guy, I think he had a triple-double against us or whatever. But we know what Vooch is. He's going to score 12 to 15 points. We need him to score 20 now because we don't have Zach. We need him to score 20 because DeMar is not really, DeMar that we got in our first year. He's a lot older. Those knees ain't going to hold up as long. I see DeMar on the bench a little longer now.
I kind of question, like, is Donovan's system conducive to Vooch? Because, I mean, Vooch is more of
not
like,
at all.
Throw it down low and let him do his thing.
Right.
Where Donovan's system, like, to me, it's more of like a spacing game, and like to me, it's like what the Bulls need to do is forget this like ISO stuff. Like
that's killing them. That ISO
when they hit 5-7 passes, like, to me, that's when basketball looks its best.
Yep.
Is like when you're getting the ball moving that much, it eventually opens someone up like wide open.
And you see that when Caruso has the ball, he passes the ball to the open guy. He doesn't care who it is. The ISO ball is, the DeMar DeRozan, where he's like, I'm just going to shoot from the free throw line and get out of the way. And then everyone's just standing there and no one rebounds.
Like I said, and that's where we're missing Lonzo the most, is because Lonzo is definitely a pass first point guard. And he was like kind of that general where it was, he knew how to drive a lane, find the open guy, where now like Kobe's kind of filling in that in there, but it's one of those where like that's not his game.
Yep. Yeah.
So it's one of those where unfortunately the Bulls kind of are what they are. I think, DeMar DeRozan's on that expiring contract. We can't come to a deal.
You've got to trade him.
I think we have to trade him.
You've got to trade him so that way you open up money for next year, because if not, you're going to have maybe $25 million, if that, to spend on
Pat Williams. He's going to take a walk, I believe, and
he's a restricted free agent. But I believe that they're not going to match any offer, because someone's going to offer him and be like, we can develop that talent. The big dude, he can shoot from the outside. We can develop.
That's the problem with the NBA now. Is like even like the 8th or 9th guy on the bench seems to be getting $10-15 million, and it's like,
Oh yeah. I mean, that's yeah. Oh yeah.
Like I'm kind of upset that I'll never have a kid that's 6'5". You know, where's that spot where a 5'8" white kid can, you know?
You might have to date a Norwegian woman who's like 6'8". That way, that can even out for you, man.
Yeah, you know. I doubt a 6'8" Norwegian would want a 5'8" guy like me.
You have a lot to offer.
I had an ex that in heels was like 6'3", but even that was, you know, it was interesting.
It was interesting. Just as to wrap up your point about allowing these young guys, Ayo has shown a lot more confidence in shooting and going to the hole. He's not afraid to get to the contact. Torrey Craig is back from injury, but he's on minute restriction, so we'll see how that pans out.
Craig to me is a great guy off the bench.
Yeah, definitely a great guy off the bench, and you know he's on the cheap side. A little older, 33, he's making 2.5.
Yeah, I really think Ayo needs way more time on the floor.
Yes,
and like someone needs to like push him to be like, dude, like we need you to build some confidence this year. Like, come on, like this is your year. Let's go.
Yeah, when Kobe White's off the floor, Ayo should be on there with Caruso, just to give him that, you know, that camaraderie with Caruso and have that mentorship on there. So I really think that's one aspect of having that Caruso coach.
Yeah, because like Ayo will flash and then like he'll disappear for, you know, games at a time, and then it's just like where are you at, man? Like,
yeah, it is definitely where are you? We can't find you. Definitely that. All right, JC, let's take a quick break and we'll come back and we'll talk baseball, some hot stove with our baseball teams. All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Alrighty.
All right, we'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. Let's hit this button, baby.
Sports fans, show off your Chicago pride with some fresh clothes from Grit Clothing Company. At Grit Clothing, they create that simple yet classic style that represents that Chicago Southside lifestyle. From t-shirts to hoodies, hats to glassware, they've got you covered. Grit has everything you need to represent your Chicago pride. So do it right now. Check out gritclothingco.com and use the promo code TrueFan15.
TrueFan15
for 15% off your entire order. Let me say it again. That's gritclothingco.com and use the promo code TrueFan15 for 15% off of your entire order.
Hey guys, it's Steven.
And this is Sean, and you are listening to True Chicago Sports Fans.
Don't forget to listen to Nowhere on the Weekend. New episodes on Monday. You can find us anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Yeah, so we're going to go do a couple of shots. So let's kick it back over to Big Z.
Oh, thanks, Sean, for kicking it back. Oh,
hey,
why is it on loop?
Show off your
Here we
Chicago
go.
pride with some fresh clothes from Grit Clothing Company.
There we go. Yeah, it's like technical difficulties there. It's got the loop.
Great. We're going to need double this week.
Oh, man. So this is the True Chicago Sports Fan Podcast with Big Z. We have JC in the house. He's many hats today. He's actually, expounding to the Cubs. I mean, to baseball and to basketball. Usually you take basketball.
I usually stay like more quiet and let you guys talk, the other teams, and then I'll chime in and be like, trade them. But trade them.
There we go. All right, let's talk about your favorite baseball team, the Chicago Cubs. We're still on Belli watch. Right now, the market's closing because everyone else has already signed their outfielders, and there's maybe one or two places where he can go. And now teams are saying, well, short-term contract, bro. And he should have cashed in at the beginning. He's still asking for north of $200 million for a long-term contract, according to Scott Boras. Ultimately, the widespread belief within the industry is that Bellinger and the Cubs will reunite, but only when his price goes down. I think, with spring training around the corner, it should happen within the next
20-something days, or
it's pitchers and catchers reporting on about 10 days, and then another another week after that. So yeah, you're looking at.
I was gonna say I thought a couple days ago I saw like 21 days.
Yeah.
So we're probably closer to 18 or something like that.
Yeah. So it's time, man. Cubs, pull the trigger. You've got the money. He wants to be here. You want him here.
Hey now. You relax over there. The Cubs will pull the trigger when Belli's good and ready to take less than 200 million.
Well, even if
we've had this conversation. You know? Like look, we want you back, Belli. We need you back,
baby. Come back.
But we need you back at a lesser price than 200 million.
Yeah,
we're not offering the Godfather package. Okay,
no,
we're offering the little
lemonade
little
stand
guy who owns the bar and does a little gambling in the back. We're offering that package.
You got to knock a certain way to get into the door.
That's the guy has to report to the Godfather.
Yeah. Why not backdate it just like the Dodgers did? I'm not saying the 200 million. I'm not saying the 200, but give them throw them like another 5-10 million on the back end. Like, we'll pay you down the road, bro. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I mean, we could, but at the same time, like, then you're playing with your salary cap, which, who knows? Like,
it goes up every year. 5-10 million is not going to hurt the Cubs.
But the problem to me is, like, the Cubs, like, they're messing around with this marquee network. They're doing all this other stuff, and it's just like even the Yankees. It's like, when's enough? Like, I pay $5 for Netflix. I pay $5 for Hulu. I pay $10-$20 for like
nickel and
never
dime.
Ending, bro.
Yeah, now we're getting nickel and dime. We were complaining about how cutting the cord for cable because it's so expensive. It's like almost $200. With everything that you do, you're back at square one. You're back at square one when you incorporate the internet that you need now, the bandwidth. You're paying almost 80, 90,
well,
100 bucks.
I am a cord cutter. I don't pay for Netflix or any of that stuff. I don't say how I do it. I just say, I
he's got a big antenna at home.
Stuff. I'm a very when I lived with a couple roommates, they all wanted HD TV.
Yeah,
I was like, nah, I'm good. I don't need HD. I'll watch standard def. I'm good. Mm-hmm. I grew up on standard def. I've never had HD. I'm clueless. Like, I don't know how much better HD is, and I'm good not paying an extra $40 a month to find out.
Oh, you mean as far as for the streaming service like ESPN to get an HD and all that stuff?
No, this was just regular TV channels. The roommates wanted 1080p instead of 720.
Yeah, I get it.
Like I said, I grew up on standard def my whole life.
I mean, 720 to 1080 is far. If you're watching a show or something that's not like super fast moving like football or soccer, it makes no difference. But if you're watching a fast sport or something that's coming across the screen very fast, then it makes a huge difference. I mean, if you want to see the blades of the grass on the football field, 1080p.
Well, again, to me, I grew up with it my whole life. I've never had it, so I still couldn't tell you to this day. So.
You turn the knob to change the channel.
No, I have a remote. Okay, I'm not that.
I have a clicker.
But to me, like, when it comes to stuff like that, like, to me, like, if it ain't broke, why fix it? Like, to me, like, standard def is just fine.
All right.
I don't need 4K or 1080 or whatever. Like, I'm good. I get by. I still watch the same episode as Reacher as you. It's like I said, it's just a little
Well, at this point, your cell phone's already in 4K. That's already there, so you can watch it on those screens. And we were just talking off air about having the same camera because I just got a new camera, and I had it on 2K. It's still on 2K, but does it make a big difference? 100%. I can really see myself, and I'm not as blurry as I used to be, which seemed to be an issue. But
say, I don't know why on my end it only allows me to go to 780. In the program we're running.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I just changed the settings in the camera settings. I didn't change it on the StreamYard, so maybe
StreamYard only allows you to go to I think it's.
You might be right. It might be 720. Okay. Yeah.
Yep. 720 is the highest StreamYard allow. But yeah, I mean, trust me, when that was like the first thing, like when I started working with you guys on the podcast, I was like, dude, my camera is horrible. Like I kept looking all flushed and red. And
yeah, you
like,
were definitely you look like Santa Claus all the time.
I had about 10 drinks, and you know.
Well, who's to say you didn't
on the
have
episode
10 drinks?
After New Year's? Yes, I did.
Yeah, exactly.
Otherwise, no. I'm over here drinking my sparkling water and. You know.
Nice.
But, all right, where we leave off? We were talking.
We're switching over. I mean, we talked about the Cubs. There's really
more stirring the pot than talking Cubs.
Yeah.
Yeah. To me, with the Cubs, you know, like I said, I think it's really going to come down to like pretty much reporting to spring training before we get anything done with Bellinger. You know, Imanaga, he's showing up all over Chicago wearing all kinds of sports, Bulls jerseys and Blackhawks jerseys.
Oh, he's living it up
with his name on it. So he's having a good time. You know, we'll see how he does in spring training. But you know, like I said, you know, we were kind of let down this off season. You know, we didn't get any of the big name guys, but
right.
if we get Belli back, that at least I think salvages kind of the off season for the Cubs. But we'll see. You know, like I said, it's not the off season we hoped for, but it's the off season that, you know, Cubs fans really probably should have expected.
I mean, they do have a lot of young talent that should be coming up. They have, I think I read, they have 5 top 100 prospects. I was looking at that today. I think Keith Law posted it. And so the White Sox as well after the trade that we'll talk about in a little bit. But there were a bunch of guys at the end of the year last year that they brought up. Yeah. And like I said, Crow, Stroman, and some of those guys. So like I said, we'll see if they get brought back up this year. And the reason that you got the manager is because he can get a lot of talent out of the players that they had in Milwaukee with not big names. So, you know, maybe hopefully that's not what they're banking on, because you still need big names and big time players to make that playoff push and put you over. So maybe they wait for the trade deadline to make some deals, because there's some people out there still.
I don't know, man. If you play Moneyball, you can get some good play out of some no-namers, you know. But like I said, it's one of those, like, especially like the younger guys. You know, they came in last season at the end of the season. A couple guys were playing pretty good. Then, you know, 10, 15 games into it, they were kind of slumping again. So like I said, hopefully they get a little more time in the big leagues, and, you know, they start putting some seasons together, and, you know, they live up to that prospect potential. Have
you ever been to spring training?
I have. I got sent by the company in February to Arizona. I showed up. They had an off day. I showed up like 2 or 3 days later, and like you could see them like doing batting practice and stuff like that. But like I didn't have a chance to like meet any of the players or you know, do any of that stuff. It was like you could stand at the fence line and basically see like, you know, like especially the pitchers and the catchers, you know, doing their whole warm-up sessions. And then, you know, on one of the far back fields, like you could see batting practice going on. You know, so but that was a season that might have been 2015, 2016.
Oh wow.
So it was like that year we were going to win. So I'll have to look it up, see when my Arizona trip was.
Yeah. That's definitely on the bucket list to do, is to go to spring training and be able to enjoy that atmosphere. I mean, I think it's everyone. I mean, if you're a baseball fan, that's literally like saying spring is coming, summer is coming, good times are coming, good weather, and that's what you're really focused on. Because once you know baseball's here, everyone gets excited for that, and then about 2 weeks later, everyone's kind of like, meh, baseball, it's on. We'll wait till the summer when it's nice. Speaking of minor leaguers, the Chicago White Sox swung a pair of trades with a contending team, which is the Seattle Mariners, sending right-hander Gregory Santos to Seattle and right-handed prospect Christian Mena to Arizona. From Seattle, the White Sox received a package that included a pair of players from the 40-man roster: Hartoy right-hander Prelander Barrera and outfielder Zach Deloach, as well as the 69th pick in the 2024 draft. In the deal with the Diamondbacks, which was announced on their social, outfielder Dominic Fletcher goes to Chicago from Arizona, and should be in the mix for trying to get some playing time because he's an outfielder. And we have a spot in right field for anybody to play. Anybody. The White Sox also made an agreement with Kevin Pillar, a minor league contract. Again, he'll be competing for a spot in spring training. He would pay $3 million if he makes the major league roster. Pillar spent 2023 with Atlanta as a veteran outfielder. Again, these are just like very small deals. And wow, right now we looked at what Chris Getz is doing as the new GM. He's training a lot of the talent for a lot of young talent and replenishing it. It's hard to imagine because we had a lot of homegrown names that we waited for in that rebuild, and they didn't pan out. We still have Moncada, we still have Eloy, we still have Lubob, Robert on the roster. We still have Cease, Kopech, Crochet. We still have some names from the remnants of that window. So I don't know what his direction is, and it's easier when your administration, your front office says, this is what we're going to do. We're going to tear it down to the studs. We're going to accumulate a bunch of talent and then supplement it with some veterans. That's what the Cubs did. They literally told you what they're doing. The White Sox said, oh, we're just going to rebuild, and really had no plan. And now we don't know what the new GM with Chris Getz and his team, we don't know what's going on. We don't know exactly what his vision is for the White Sox. Right now, we look like the Kansas City Royals, where we have a bunch of minor leaguers and maybe one or two MLB players who are just been roaming around signing on minor league contracts. I don't see Cease staying with us past the trade deadline. That some pitcher's gonna go down for a major team. They're gonna pull the trigger. They'll get the king's ransom because the team wants to make that playoff push. Lou Bob, I don't want his talent wasted. Let's say he hits 40 home runs, 45 home runs. It doesn't really matter on a losing team. You're not gonna get the MVP. You're not gonna get the accolades. You're gonna be kind of like a Mike Trout. You're stuck in limbo in a crappy team, and no one really cares. You could walk down the street and no one's gonna know exactly who you are. So again, the White Sox right now, it's hard to be a White Sox fan. We're back to square -15. Then you have the other aspect of, they want to build in that lot in the South Loop. It'll be a novelty. That stadium will be a novelty for 2, maybe 3 years with decent attendance, and then after that, it will plummet. Well, but I mean, the nice thing is, if all you have technically is 1 or 2 MLB players, and the rest are minor league whatevers, at least you're cleaning up your salary cap and getting that, hopefully back under control. And who knows, maybe you go out and sign 4 or 5 guys, like the Dodgers did, and you become relevant again. Yeah, go ahead. There is always that opportunity, but like I said, unfortunately, the White Sox keep White Sox.
I said, if you build a better stadium and get out of that South Side and bring it to the Loop, or we can add you guys to the Loop as we do the Loop session. Yeah, I got to work on a video package. I'm still learning all that. To that point, it's on the White Sox. Like, why? Oh, it's so dangerous out there. It's all industrious, and you've got it's not safe to get down there. I'm like, well, that's on the White Sox. The Cubs invested in their community. Joke with you that it's not safe to go there.
No, I know that, but I mean,
it's fine.
It is fine. It is completely fine. But the idea is that the White Sox have never reinvested in the area that they're in. The Cubs bought a bunch of the neighborhood bars. They reinvested and bought the McDonald's and tore it down and put a hotel. You reinvested in the community and raised the value not only of the community but of your own team. The White Sox are not doing it.
They also bought out the community.
They did.
Every single house that is in the outfield,
yeah,
they bought it.
Yeah,
I mean, there are no apartments there anymore. Where
No.
you know, when I was growing up as a kid, you would see like all the people looking out their apartment windows and cheering on the Cubs.
Yep.
And now it's like, no, that's a bar. That's a rooftop ticket where
Correct.
that's all catering and
Yeah.
corporate events and whatever.
Which I don't mind. I love
Yeah.
it. Especially I like buying tickets for those when it's gonna be a rainy day, because if it gets rained out, I get to go back for free. You get to go back twice, eat and drink and enjoy the game, right?
Yeah, I've done a couple of concerts, where I've done the rooftops for concerts and didn't turn out so well audio wise, but
No.
it was one of those, like, it was okay, for, I think we spent like $100 or whatever to sit on a rooftop and listen to the Foo Fighters. But I pulled up the photo
Yeah.
from the spring training game. I don't know if you can see because of the lighting.
No, I can.
But we got Lester and Lackey. Like I said, I was able to see like the warm up and the pitching staff. While I was at the spring training, but like I said, no game was attended by me when I was out there.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, and it's if you don't know about spring training, like the starters are playing like maybe 2 innings, and then they go back to their home or the hotel. They don't stay there. They literally get their 2 innings in. That maybe in the beginning they'll do their batting practice, they'll sign some autographs, play 2 innings, and vamonos. They're going back to the spa or whatever they got to do with the wives. They're not.
Yeah, I got a buddy that lives out in Arizona, so it would be interesting to go see him and then possibly catch a spring training game. I've got 2 buddies also that are trying to set up a Cubs Red Sox game because they want to go to Fenway. I forgot when they're trying to do that. I would have to reach out to them and figure out the dates.
Definitely do it, bro.
But I've already been to Fenway, so for me it was kind of like
you didn't like it. I really enjoyed Fenway.
No, I enjoyed it, but like I'm trying to do some other vacation stuff this year.
Gotcha.
To where it's one of those, like I want to go to Europe. I want to do some Europe stuff. So it's one of those where it's like I'm really like trying to watch how I'm spending my vacation time and what I'm doing and where I'm going money wise. So
Gotcha. All right, so we're not going to beat any more dead horses with the Cubs and the White Sox. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll come back with Stirring the Pot after a word from our sponsors.
Fans, show off your Chicago pride with some fresh clothes from Grit Clothing Company. At Grit Clothing, they create that simple yet classic style that represents that Chicago Southside lifestyle. From t-shirts to hoodies, hats to glassware, they've got you covered. Grit has everything you need to represent your Chicago pride. So do it right now. Check out gritclothingco.com and use the promo code TrueFan15.
TrueFan15
for 15% off your entire order. Let me say it again. That's gritclothingco.com and use the promo code TrueFan15 for 15% off of your entire order.
What up? It's Martin Moreno, and you are listening to True Chicago Sports Fans Podcast.
Welcome back to the True Chicago Sports Fans Podcast with Big Z. We got JC in the house. JC, it's that time again, brother. It's time for Stirring the Pot. Where's my bell? There it is. That's right. So in honor of all the birthdays this past weekend, a lot of my friends and including yourself, happy belated birthday.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we my friend Eric, we've got a bunch of birthdays this weekend. So happy birthday to everybody.
Yeah, myself and 3 coworkers all have the same birthday.
That's insane. That is insane.
Yeah.
So in honor of that, I wanted to debate the best and the worst birthday gifts. There we go, JC. What's the best and what's the worst?
You know what? I'm a very like we were talking about the whole cable setup, right?
Yeah.
I'm a very simple man. Like I'm not like I don't really care about presents and gifts, and like every year my family comes to me and they're like, "Hey, what do you want for Christmas?" And I'm just like, I don't need anything. Like I don't.
Some socks, some underwear.
Well, honestly, like so the one gift I tell my mom every year is just give me a pair of slippers. You know, because like I wear them around the house like in the winter and you know
right, they get worn out
in the summers and stuff like that. You know, because me and my family, like we try to take shoes off the front door as much as possible and switch into something where you're not tracking rocks and dirt and whatever
into the house, right?
The whole house. So to me, like, you know, slippers for Christmas is pretty much what I get every year. As for like a birthday gift, dude, it's rough because like, especially being a February birthday month, like, dude, growing up in like the 20s, like in my early 20s, like I would try and throw like parties at bars and different stuff, and then all of a sudden it'd be like, no, we're expecting 10 inches of snow, and then like
I remember
everyone would cancel on me, and it's like, all right, well, whatever, you know, it is what it is. But like I said, I mean, I'm simple. Like I don't, you know, maybe some car parts, you know, for. You know, I've got a classic Mustang, so, you know, maybe some car parts or something like that, you know, but really, like, I don't need much, and when I need it, like, I go find it on Amazon or, you know, I order what I need when I need it, you know.
Right.
Like, I'm not one of those people that really needs much, you know.
Oh, any worst presents, like, that you can remember? It's like, oh, my God, I can't believe you got me this. This is disgusting or whatever.
Oh my! I have one, but I don't know if this person still like it because they might be friends with you.
Okay. On
Facebook or like I don't know if they follow this show. There is a gift very much that comes to mind. That it was a brutal gift. Just because. It was from someone very special to me at the time.
Right.
They gave it to me. It was something that I could wear, and I was forced to wear it.
Oh boy!
But it was like, if I gave it away, which I don't want to, because again, I don't know if the person still follows us and like keeps up with everything, so I don't want to hurt their feelings. We'll talk about it off air.
There was a lot of build up there.
Yeah, let's just say it was a...
Yeah, can you just give a general description of it?
It was a piece of clothing.
Okay.
Again, and I was forced to wear it to an event, and it was brutal to do. And again, it was a very sweet and thoughtful gift.
Yeah.
But it was just one of those. It was just like, oh God, yeah. I gotta wear it because of the person, and you know. But, yeah. Oh my God, because like that's the first gift that comes to mind when I think of something like that.
Oh my God.
And again, it wasn't a bad gift. It was just, it was the having to wear it to an event, and it was just like it's not me. It's not like I would never wear this to an event, and it was just like okay, like I'm doing it for you. So you appreciate me wearing this for you.
I'm in my head, I'm thinking it's like one of those in the early what is it? That would have been like 2005, 2008 era, where like the button downs like Chris Jericho, where it was like red but like super bright red and shiny, those kind of shirts. That's what I'm thinking in my head, where you have to wear something that wasn't quite your style and you felt embarrassed wearing it. That's what I'm thinking. You don't have to confirm or deny. We'll leave it there. We'll let it lie. We'll let the fans speculate. And hey, yeah, hit up JC and keep asking him questions on Twitter to see if he'll really feel it.
Be my guest, you know, like I'll just sit there and deny. But like I said, I'm the guy that I have never dated anyone during Valentine's Day, believe it or not.
Wow.
I have always been single during Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
So like people will be like, oh, you know, what do you get your significant other for Valentine's Day? Or, you know, what have you done for Valentine's? I'm like,
I wouldn't know. Wouldn't know. We're asking the wrong guy here.
Yeah, like to me, like I said, like if I were to, for my birthday, like let's go out to dinner, let's have a drink or two, and call it a day.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't like, again, I don't like, you want to buy me a baseball hat, fine. You want to buy me some
sports
whatever, great. But like I said, like I've had people in the past buy me cologne. I've had people buy me, stuff like that. But it's one of those where it's like, it is what it is. Like I don't really care for cologne that much, but like I said, every now and again, it's nice when you go to a wedding or, something to put a little spritz on, but
yeah.
How about you? What's your worst?
Oh man. You know what? I can think of one of my worst one is, as far as best ones, there really is no best. I've been gifted, going to a White Sox game and, they put my happy birthday on the screen. I've had that, stuff like that. Okay, stuff like that. A day at the spa, an expensive spa where you're there for 3 hours and, you do the salt pools and all that. I've done all types of cool stuff. But to me is really spending time with your friends, family, and whether it's a drink at a bar or having the dinner together, that is more of what I would enjoy more, just spending time with people because the memories are everlasting. As far as gifts,
because now that you mention it, I was taken to a Blackhawks game for my birthday many years ago. Yeah. So that was a nice one. But that was by a girl I was dating at the time. Yeah. But yeah, like, not much else really pops up in the way of,
Yeah, I mean, as far as worst, I remember this has got to be early 2000s. I was working at the bank and I was working in the back room. So I was working with legal. So lawyers would request documents because of a case. I'd have to retrieve bank statements and whatever, and then send that off. So I'm working with nothing but women. And it was my birthday and they made a big deal, in an office setting, birthdays are a big deal. So I remember she worked in the same cubicle area, but she was part of a different department. But we all kind of hung out. We were all almost around the same age. And she gifted me some underwear. So that would be kind of very awkward when you're at the office party and you're opening your gifts and it's like, underwear? Really? That did not go well.
She was about the same age as you?
Yeah, she was maybe like 3-4 years younger. I might have been, So I think she might have been like in her early 20s. I was probably like 23, 24 or something around there. But it was very awkward. And not only that, like the person I was dating.
Especially if you're opening in front of other coworkers.
Right. That was the whole.
But that had to be pretty awkward for her as well, I would assume. But why? Where she was like, no, don't open mine.
Yeah, give me a warning, like don't, that's for later. But still, even then, that makes it even more awkward. Like, why are you gifting your coworker underwear? I was at that point I was dating someone else, and it's like, read the room. Just not the type of thing that you want to do. You're definitely embarrassed in front of like all these older ladies that were part of the the whole back room. So, and then, rumors start, and I was like, oh my God, you just opened Pandora's box here. So that's got to be the worst for being embarrassed.
Yeah, luckily where I work, your birthday is like, get back to work. Like, we don't care.
We left a Kit Kat at your locker. Enjoy your Kit Kat.
Yeah, it's like, you're lucky you have a job. How did you get back to work? But I was told by one of my bosses that for whatever reason, there's only 2 people who like their birthdays go out via Google Update, like in the whole like building. Yeah. And I guess I'm one of them. So like every manager knew it was my birthday. Whereas like, I guess nobody else's birthdays go out. So I have no idea why my birthday is any more special than anybody else's, but okay.
Do you get special recognition at work for it? Like,
Nope. No, like I said, it was just like some of the managers were like, hey, is it your birthday today? Like, I got a Google update, on my calendar. And I'm like, dude, I have no idea like why you would get that. But okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's a handshake and data boy, keep working.
Well, it's probably because my birthday used to fall on Super Bowl all the time.
Yeah.
So I used to call off,
Gotcha.
On my birthday.
Yeah.
So maybe that was their like, oh yeah, it's Jason's birthday / Super Bowl / he's going to call in sick, Google update.
Yeah. Make sure you find coverage.
Yeah. But no, I like I said, we'll have to talk about my.
We're definitely talking off air about that one. Yeah.
It was an article of, like I said, it was an article of clothing, and like I said, I had to wear it to something, and like I said, we'll talk more about it off air.
All right. We're good on time. Is there anything that you're watching that you want to share with the listeners?
Ooh, I watched the new Amazon Zorro series.
Okay.
Which I guess is spoken in Spanish and then they dub into English.
Okay.
Because I was sitting there watching their lips and I'm like, okay, this isn't matching up. And then someone was like, oh, well, the series was shot in Spanish and then they dubbed the English. But they used the gentleman from Ted Lasso, Danny Rojas.
Danny Rojas, yeah.
He is like the original Zorro, and I don't want to ruin the series, but he kind of gets off at the very beginning of the series. But I will say his sword experience and play as Zorro was god awful. So Danny Rojas, please practice your swordsmanship before you take on another role.
Yeah,
like
football
that.
is life.
Like I said, interesting series. Anything else? I went back and watched Altered Carbon season 1 a couple weeks ago. Season 2 is just god awful. But I love that show for season 1. I thought it was such a great concept for a show, in the way of, people don't die anymore. They're, saved in like kind of a hard drive, if you would, which they call a stack. And then like they can put your hard drive into any person, any body, where like, you might be an 8-year-old girl, but you get put into a 40-year-old, white female body. So it was a very interesting concept to a show. Trying to think of anything else. Finished up Reacher, and Percy Jackson was the other one.
Okay.
Finished that series up, which, you're a wrestling fan. Edge was in a couple episodes.
Yep.
Also a gentleman from the TV show Psych, Carlton Lassiter, who was a character on Psych. The gentleman had a stroke, pretty bad. And he plays one of the characters in Percy Jackson as well. So it was really good to see him as an actor, overcoming his personal, medical issues, to continue his career as an actor. Because he had a pretty significant stroke at the time and was basically like wheelchair bound.
Oh, wow.
Still in the episode of Percy Jackson, he uses a cane. But like I said, really great to see him, back to doing his profession.
Awesome.
How about you? What do you got?
Well, speaking of wrestling, I did enjoy the Royal Rumble, which was phenomenal. Cody Rhodes, won it again to finish his story. But it was ruined.
Did Vince McMahon make an appearance?
No. He's that boy's incognito. That's why he wore his mustache. He has a mustache now, so he looks like a. Yeah, it looks like
it's drawn out with a pencil. Yeah,
it's so bad. But it was ruined by The Rock returning and taking his main event spot. So, The Rock just came back to the TKO, who owns the UFC and WWE. He became a board member. So he's like, screw this. I'm going to give myself a payday, and I'm going to show up for WrestleMania and take someone's spot. So they had to change storylines and all that. So that's the behind the news. You have local talent, CM Punk, who tore his tricep at the Royal Rumble. Yeah, so he's clamoring. People have been clamoring for him to come back to WWE. He comes back, and his first major match, he tears his tricep. So,
well, let's be honest. I mean, he's not getting any younger.
No, not at all.
So, like, I can foresee many more injuries coming his way.
Yeah, every time he's wrestled in the past couple of years after a major, he's torn something. So it might be time to hang it up. It's your body is not going to beat Father Time.
Yeah, I just had my 38th birthday, and I'm like one sneeze away from having a herniated disc. So I can't imagine jumping off a top rope at 40, however old he is.
Yeah, he's like 40. He should be like 45, I think. Yeah, and so I mean,
yeah, like I said, I know, like, as a wrestler, the more you do, the more your body becomes used to working with the bumps and bruises, and that's like, I used to do martial arts back in the day, and I used to do like weapons and forms and sparring, if you will,
right?
And like, I remember, like, dude, I would take my bow staff and like really lay into my ribs. And now it's like, dude, if I bump into a wall, I'm like, for like 3 days, I'm just like in pain. And it's like, dude, how did I used to like hit my ribs with like an 1.5 inch thick stick and like nothing? And now it's like, I bump into the corner of a wall or hit something like a doorknob or something, and I'm in pain for 3 days.
Yeah, put you on the injured reserve, then you're like, oh my god, I can't get up.
Call me the man of glass. I bump into something and I am Caruso.
Yeah. Let's see. Other thing that this show just came out on Hulu, Love and WWE. It's Bianca and Montez. Bianca's the world champion for the females, and then Montez, he's her husband is a wrestler, and he's trying to like make it to that top tier. I think if I remember correctly, Montez is from the Chicago area. That's probably one of the main reasons I watch. Very entertaining. There's only 8 episodes. They're about 35-40 minutes. So just really been watching a lot more wrestlings because it's been more interesting. What did I finish? True Detective in the new season. It's super weird. And it's very intriguing, super weird. It's based in Alaska for this season. You have 2 female leads, and it's like, we don't know if it's White Walkers or whatever is causing all these problems that are killing people. But you have a lot of Native American actors and storylines that are interweaved. It's interesting, and you leave every episode like, what the hell is going on? I'm still confused. And True Detective is very known for doing that, for confusing their audience until the end where it culminates all together. So that's what I've been watching. Other than that, it's been the Bulls costing me money, and the NBA, and excited for the Super Bowl. What are you doing for the Super Bowl?
I'll be at work, at least for a portion of it.
Okay.
Then come home and do dinner with the family, and that's when we normally celebrate. My birthday is, on Super Bowl.
That's awesome.
So we'll push it back a week, and discussion of homemade chicken marsala, and whatever. So we'll see where that goes.
That'll be exciting.
But yeah, I like I said, not too much in the way of TV shows recently. I feel like I've watched a couple movies and such.
Yeah.
Lift, I watched with Kevin Hart. Decent. It was all right. Kind of a mix between Now You See Me and a Ocean's 11 or 13 or whatever.
That's exactly what it looked like. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I can't really think of much else, but
all right. We'll wrap it up and get out of here and let you get to your dinner. So we'll end the show that way, just like meh. All right, y'all, that's it for today. Thank you for listening. A big thank you to our sponsor, 606 Media, True Chicago Sports Fans and Great Clothing Company. Go over there and use our promo code TrueFan15 at the checkout for 15% off your entire order. That is TrueFan15. Get your shirts now. I guess you can listen to Sean and Steven's show, since Steven decided to have food poisoning, but I will be on the next episode of No One on the Weekend, because Sean is traveling to Texas, and he was in LA a couple weeks ago, so I usually fill in for that. So you can check out No Water on the Weekend, available everywhere you get your podcast. Let's see. We're going to shout out Ronesh, Panic, Serious Beats, and Custom Made for the beats we played on the audio version of today's show. Check out paniconthebeat.com for your moment merch and gear. You can find us at TCSF Pod on Twitter. You can find us True Chicago Sports Fans on Facebook, Instagram, everywhere. You got JC's handle right there, JC Dynasty FF on the Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, you can hit me up at Big Z _606 Media on my platforms. And you can reach out to us at truechicagosportsfans@gmail.com. All right, y'all. I am Big Z, and we got JC in the house. We're signing off, and we'll see you next time for episode 181. And until then, be good to each other for the love of sports.
A few moments later.
You have a lot of incest.
That's real.
Shut your mouth.
Lover boy.
Nature versus nurture, Lodge. Nature always wins.
I think he's on steroids.
Hasta luego, amigos. Show's over, show's over, show's over.